I worked in a local Italian restaurant for a few years, and whenever it was my turn to cook for the team, this was my go-to. It's quick, comforting, and everyone, including me, loved it. No matter how much I made, it was never enough. Hey, I'm Nick, and today I'm going to show you how to make rich, satisfying coconut steamed fish. I'll share tips to help you get the most flavor and nail it every single time. Let's dive right in. Steamed fish is a simple dish with simple ingredients and very simple techniques. Most whitefish like snapper group or parrotfish or even bass are great for steaming because they have mild flavors, absorb seasonings really well and have great texture when steamed. Oily fish like mackerel, salmon or sardine can also be steamed, but they usually have stronger, more intense flavors and may be very greasy. These are some whole redtail snapper. I had to scale and gut them myself. Whole fish gives a more authentic experience and hold on to flavors better. But fillets offer much better conveniences. Back in the day all I had was red snapper fillet. Using a little lime juice is great for cutting through the raw fishiness. If you don't have lime, vinegar also work. After I'll just rinse and get rid of the excess water from the fish before I season them. I keep seasoning very simple with just salt, pepper and ground allspice. I'm going to season lightly with each of these. Powdered seasoning is usually used, but if you watch my videos regularly, you might notice that I typically don't use processed powdered seasonings much. I don't have anything against processed powdered seasoning. Many of them are a great way to add a ton of flavor into your food. But you make a lot of my recipes, and using common fresh ingredients is not only generally better but more accessible to more people. Powdered seasonings can be a crutch for cooks at any level. Now, let's prep our veggies for our steamed fish. It's easy to sprinkle in a variety of spices on your food, but relying too much on these shortcuts take away from your cooking. It prevents you from really engaging with the ingredients and learning essential techniques that build those skills. Cooking is all about understanding how flavors and textures interact. When you focus on fresh herbs, spices, and aromatics, you learn to balance flavors more effectively. Back when I was working in the Italian restaurant, most of these vegetables would have already been prepped for service. Might have to get some scotch or okra, but making this dish still took very little time. I just ranted about powdered seasonings, but this one makes a huge difference in steamed fish. Using a soup base like chicken noodle adds a really nice layer of savory flavor. Or cock soup. There are small differences between these two, but they still do the trick. I want this to be a complete meal, so I'm also using XLCR water crackers. This is optional of course, but it's perfect for soaking up flavor. Final ingredient I'll need is coconut milk. Great, now that everything is ready, let's steam some fish. To my pot, I'm adding a generous splash of oil. I need a pot big enough so the fish doesn't get smushed together. Start with a tablespoon of chopped garlic, some chopped scallion, 1 sliced onion. I love the heat and flavor of scotch bonnet pepper, but I'm still starting conservative. Can always add more later. A bit of fresh thyme of course, because dry thyme is a scam. Next, simply saute all those veggies until they turn fragrant. Vegetables are not always sauteed for Jamaican steamed fish. Sometimes everything is added to the pot at once. But sauteing adds a nice layer of flavor, especially if you don't use powdered seasonings or spices. Next, add about 2 cups of coconut milk. If you don't like coconut milk, water or stock is a great replacement. I'm going to allow that to cook for a little bit to build up some flavors. The coconut milk will get sweeter and nuttier as it cooks. Instead of cock soup, you could also use bouillon or stock. Both chicken noodle and cock soup have these tiny noodles that I don't want in my steamed fish. They are okay to use, but they thicken the liquids as they cook and I don't really like that. I'll save them for something else. I'm going to let that simmer for about 5 more minutes. In truth, Jamaican style steamed fish is more of a quick stew. You build flavors in a similar way to how you would any stew. That looks good, so we can go ahead and add the snapper. Alternating how you place them in the pot will make taking them out later much easier. reduce the heat to as low as it can go. At this point we can add some additional veggies. I'm using sweet pepper, more onion and carrot. Other veggies like corn on the cob, tomato or pumpkin are popular. It's really whatever veg you like. Next, add a bit of butter. This is about 2 tablespoons and I like to add it diced so it distributes easier. I want to cook the snapper low and slow. This should just be a gentle simmer. That way we get tender juicy snapper. That liquid is a bit too thick, so I'm going to add a splash of water. The okra and crackers I will add a little later will thicken the liquid, so I need it a bit thin. I'm going to cover and give this about 3 minutes. After that 3 minutes, I'm going to flip them. This way everything cooks evenly. If you use bigger fish, you will need a bit more time, but checking to see if it flakes is an easy way to check for doneness. Next, add okra. Now, this part boils down to personal taste. I add my okra really late because I like it crunchy with very little slime. For a lot of people, okra slime is a pleasurable part of steamed fish. If that's you, simply add your okra earlier. Let me know down in the comments how you like your okra. The fish was seasoned and the cock soup flavored the liquid, but I'm still going to give it a taste test. That tastes good. Now, this is also a matter of personal taste. I like to add my water crackers late. I like when the crackers soak up a lot of that flavorful liquid, but I also don't like soggy crackers. Adding them at the very end gets it to a sweet spot for me. Cover and give that another minute for the next side of the fish to complete cooking. That's done and it smells great. Steamed fish falls apart easily, but using 2 large utensils make handling a lot easier. I like to dip the crackers in the liquid before removing them for a very nice flavorful coating. I absolutely love water crackers with this, but at the restaurant I used to work at, there was this really simple flatbread, just water, flour and yeast. It was very soft and had this really satisfying chewy texture. It's a bit tricky to make at home. To get the texture just right, it needs to be cooked at a crazy high temperature. Most home ovens don't get that hot. I used to make it in a wood stone pizza oven and it's hands down my favorite thing to have with steamed fish. Steamed fish works really well with carbs such as breads and crackers, but let me know down in the comments what you love to have your steamed fish with. I'm always curious to hear your takes. Shout out to the supporters on Patreon who help to keep the kitchen cooking. If you want to support the channel, check the links below. Don't forget to drop a like or share this video with someone who loves food. And if you like this, make sure you check out this next video right here.